Welcome to another episode of Northside Now. This is the podcast where we take you on a tour through all of the ministries and the latest happenings around Northside Church to keep you better connected with your church family. My name is Patrick, and with me as always is my wonderful co-host, Glenn Miller.
Hello.
What's up?
Oh, man, just basking in the glow of the potluck.
Yeah, we had a good turnout.
We had a good turnout, but we had a lot of food.
Yeah. Did you have Jerry Gay's tenderloin?
I did have a little bit. That was good.
It was good.
Yeah, he told me about it as he walked in the door and said, you need to try this. And I did. So great job, Jerry.
Yeah.
And everybody else. It was good stuff.
Yeah, how do we like those bingo cards? Yeah?
Yeah.
I spent way too long making those.
I think more people wanted them.
Yeah.
So who knew? Maybe we just need to have like a bingo night.
Bingo night? Oh.
That was a popular thing.
People can get competitive over bingo.
And there was prizes. Those are good prizes too.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we can, I don't know. But we had a good time. Hope everybody else did too. It was a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
So we have a very, very special guest today.
We do.
With us, Miss Tennessee. Can you believe that she heard about us?
Yeah.
And wanted to come hang out with us?
Well, she heard how cool we were.
That's it.
She wanted to at least meet one famous person.
She wanted to meet a couple of celebrities before she finished up her time.
Yeah.
So actually, Deborah Patterson works with her and hooked us up with her to come and hang out. And Deborah told me she's probably the smartest, most wonderful young woman on the planet. And so I said, we need the smartest, most wonderful young woman on the planet on our podcast.
Well, yeah.
And she agreed.
Those are some good credentials.
So, Miss Lauren Dickson originally from Parsons. She calls herself a river rat. But she's here today and going to hang out with us and learn a little bit of the ins and outs about the pageant world, but more importantly about Lauren's heart and her willingness to want to serve other people, especially around food insecurity and stuff like that. So great time with Lauren. So let's check that out. We're here today with Miss Lauren Dickson, Miss Tennessee.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast room.
So glad to be here. Thank
you.
Are
you really into interior decorating?
I can appreciate it.
What, like a room like this, right?
Yes, totally.
We've
right
put
out
a lot
of a magazine.
A lot of work into this.
People don't know.
It's very aesthetic.
Right.
We're going for a mood. I don't know if we achieved it or not.
You got the lamp over there and the little and the stool beside it.
My wife's aunt is Deborah Rhodes. A lot of people in West Tennessee know her. She's a decorator and she's in like Southern Living and stuff all the time. So,
wow.
So anyways, I wanted someday to show this to her.
Yeah, she should come visit.
She would
appreciate it.
She would say, you're my next decorator. So Lauren, you came in and I first met you and you found a place in my heart immediately because you're a self-proclaimed river rat. So you grew up in Parsons, Tennessee. Went to Riverside High School, graduated in 2014.
That's right.
So what was life like on the river as a teenager?
Oh, goodness gracious. So I had probably spent more of my time when I was younger, before high school on the river.
Yeah.
And while I was in high school, I didn't spend as much time as you'd probably think. My family used to have a boat and a place when I was younger, but that just kind of ended and you'd get tired of it after a while, and it's something about being in the middle of the river. There's no bottom. It gives me a little anxiety. I'm not going to lie. So I wasn't there a lot, but I was when I was younger, and I loved to get in the inner tube.
Yeah.
And my dad would flip me around.
Yeah. So that's
sweet
always
memories.
Fun. Or you're worried about, like one of those crazy shark sightings or something that happens on the Tennessee River occasionally.
Yes. Those critters, those creatures, I guess you could say, that you don't really know what they are, but they have big teeth.
Yeah. It's the snakes for me. I have an irrational fear of snakes. And so I'm always afraid that, I don't know, did a snake just touch my foot?
It gives me chills just thinking about it.
And the Tennessee River is known for its clarity.
Yes, of course.
And you can see all the way to the bottom.
Absolutely.
All the time. So, Well, welcome to the big metropolis of Jackson.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what's it like being Miss Tennessee?
It's a whirlwind.
A whirlwind.
A whirlwind. Every single day of my life for the past 10 months, 11 months, I've lost track at this point, is different. every single day. I could be doing an event at a school and then pop into a Rotary meeting and then be on the road for several hours to the other side of the state and then maybe fly on back in 2 days and do it all over again. And you throw work in there too. I believe I'm the first Miss Tennessee to carry on a full-time job while also carrying this full-time job. So that's been interesting. I've learned a lot of balance. I've just learned a lot about myself this year, and I'm so appreciative of that. But it's just been a whirlwind. I need to find a better word for it, though.
Well, the winds around West Tennessee lately, that's a good wind.
They're whirling, that's
for
sure.
That's for sure. So how many Miss Tennessees have come from West Tennessee? Are you?
Oh, goodness. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think the last one from my area, Parsons, and she wasn't even from Parsons. Some of her family she is Ellen Carrington. I believe she's gotten married and went on with her life, but that was many, many years ago.
Okay.
So yeah, I've had the support of so many people in West Tennessee. They can really rally with a small town girl because small towns are where the support lies. So,
Exactly.
Yes, it's been very rewarding.
What's some of your favorite memories that you've had over these last few months of being Miss Tennessee as you're traveling around? Was there a one day of like that one little kid that just, kept picking their nose at while you were trying to speak to them or something like that?
Listen, so my sash that I get to wear, goodness gracious, it is filthy right now, and I have had that thing cleaned several times, those little grimy, germy hands all over it, but it does not bother me one bit. I was in several schools in the midst of flu season all across Tennessee, and I was like, I am destined to get sick. There's no way around this. But when I was in the classrooms and they were wanting to hug and the teachers were kind of, squirreling in their boots, they're like, oh, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And I'm like, just bring it in. Just come on. Bring it in. I'll get well eventually. No, but there's been so many wonderful things that I've got to do. And as you're asking that question, my mind's just rolling for all the different events. And we would be here all day if I got to tell you everything I've experienced. Some of the ones that stick out to me is the Night to Shine event in Franklin, Tennessee. That was so much fun because, I was their queen for the night.
Oh, wow.
But I also felt like they really got to see and know Lauren and my heart, even with the volunteers. I look forward to next February, I believe it was, going back and volunteering just as Lauren.
Oh, wow.
Because I made those relationships with volunteers and they saw my heart. And I walked away from that appearance thinking, yes, these are the things that I get to carry with me for the rest of my life. So I really enjoyed that one. Goodness gracious, every school visit that I've got to go to has been special in its own way. Whether it's a teacher or a staff member or a child sharing part of their story with me. I think there's a lot of power in our stories. And when we tell our stories, walls can just absolutely shatter around us. And if we pick apart someone's story and maybe collect some things from it, I think those are the things, the skills that help us get through maybe a hard time in our life that we can reflect on and say, well, you know what? If Miss Tennessee's gotten through that, maybe I can. And the same way with me, with other people that I've got to meet and just hear their heart.
Oh, that's cool. You say you work full-time in Modern Woodman?
Yes, Modern Woodman.
And
yes.
what do you do?
So I help people with retirement planning. We throw life insurance in those portfolios, investments, you name it, we do it. And I love what I do. If you would have told me 10 years ago that I would be a woman in finance, I would call you crazy because I believed my path in life was being a nurse. And I pursued that with everything that I had in me. But ultimately, it was not the Lord's plan for me. And I'm so thankful for that provision that He had on my life. And I collected a lot of skills, a lot of life skills for my tool belt during those 5 years of pursuing that dream. And then ultimately having to say, you know what? Maybe I wanted this more than the Lord wanting this for me.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do from here? And it was a very dark time in my life of, my goodness, I've been so obedient. I didn't go off to school and party and I stayed focused and I feel like I'm being punished because of that.
Yeah.
And then I started with a wonderful mentor of mine in Lexington, just honestly to pay my bills. And then I started learning the lingo and it's a completely different language than what I was used to. Medical versus financial, completely different dictionary, right? And the more I learn the business and I learn the impact that you can have in those positions on people's lives, I started seeing myself in that. And it's just like doors have continued to open. So I'm excited for Life After the Crown because I get to help more people, because that'll, allow my schedule to be a little bit clearer so I can meet more people and help them in that way.
So for people your age, you're in your mid-20s, and what is some of your financial advice for those kids? We just had graduation Sunday here at Northside. And
congratulations.
They're all graduating high school, and they got the world by the tail, and they're just swinging it above their head. Everything's great. Pretty soon they're going to learn that some of this is not quite as much fun as I thought it was.
No.
So what's some of those really good financial tips that you've learned already from seeing this working side of how things gone?
Yeah.
What are some of those financial tips you have for people your age range?
Sure. I think this one goes for absolutely everyone, but save your money.
Yeah.
Save it. Don't spend it on silly things, and budget. Make a budget. I really stick with my budget, and I like to plan. So the girls from Miss America, we are having a lot of spontaneous trips and little reunions, just like the Kentucky Derby from last weekend. And it came about 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm going to have to dip into my savings because I didn't budget for this. It's 2 weeks. That's not a lot of time here. Yeah. So having a budget, saving your money, and start a Roth IRA. Start it now, because odds are, I really believe that my generation and the generations to come after us, we are going to be some of the wealthiest generations to come, because we're learning from our elders. We're learning that you can make money in the craziest ways possible, especially with social media and just the influencing era. You can make money just by being you on social media. And so if we start the Roth IRA now, the Roth IRA is not for the wealthy. And so eventually you will not even qualify to be able to contribute to that. And that's one of the greatest retirement tools, I believe, that's out there. And so if you start young, start early, start pouring into that Roth IRA, you're going to thank yourself, and you might thank me later down the road.
It's really funny you mentioned that, because, Patrick, we've been talking a lot about just different church things and stuff. And just this morning, I was reading an article about your generation, the Zers and the millennials, about, they're kind of given the whole idea that they're not going to be given to church budgets and tithing and things like that. Everybody tends to think that. However, the proof is not in the pudding there, because they're actually giving a lot. Now, they're not giving blindly. They give to things that they feel are important. But it's interesting to hear you say that, and not somebody else just reading an article that's like, thinks they know everything. But Miss Tennessee does know everything.
Hey, I know a lot, but there's a lot I don't know either. I can't even play that off like I know everything.
So you went to Martin.
Parsons. I actually went to the Parsons Center, but I graduated, of course, from Martin.
So, okay. All right, cool.
Yes.
So you're truly just a true West Tennessee gal.
I am.
That's awesome. So you went to the Kentucky Derby. How was that?
It was absolutely incredible. Like a bucket list checked off. Like, what even? I just stood there, and we had a really awesome terrace, like right at the finish line. We were in the finish line suites, and I just took it all in, and it was overwhelming. I've had these moments practically ever since I was crowned Miss Tennessee of just outer body experiences, Like, I feel like, in a way, Lauren is up here in this bubble, and she's watching her life happen. And while I try to be so present in the moment, I really, really do. I try so hard. I'm like, wait, am I even living this? Like, it's just going by so fast, and things are so exciting. And so it was a lot to take in, but just a true blessing being there and getting to see so many of my friends from Miss America. That was truly the best part, let's be honest. And we really are a sisterhood. I think pageant girls get a bad rap, and I'll be honest, I think I was one of those girls, especially in high school, that appreciated pageant girls. I was not one, but I stereotyped them too. And I thought, well, that's got to be catty, because you get that many women together that are very successful and high-achieving women with big personalities, but also big hearts. There might be a little drama, but there's no drama whatsoever. Like, when we're together, we are also like on this high of, we feel like our best selves, and I come back home, and I had a 4.5 hour drive home, and I would just catch myself smiling and then just like giggling, just thinking about the last 2 days and how jam-packed they were and just how happy being with them really made me and the community that I've gained from this experience.
The really funny thing is you talk about that, and I raised 2 daughters. I know girl world about as well as any other male on the planet. But it's for all kids because I've been around kids my entire life. And often when you inject adults and other things into the little groups that you are in, that's where we start getting all the drama. Yeah. It's not necessarily within the hearts that are experiencing the same things.
Right.
It's all this other stuff that brings. So like you said, it's the stuff that everybody brings to be in Miss Tennessee. Because everybody's thinking like toddlers and tiaras, right?
Right.
They're like, And
the glamour, there's some glamour that comes along with this job, but most of the time I'm like you see right now, like put together for sure, but not fake at all. At all. I did not want to do it if I had to become something that I was not. And I believe that's how I've gotten so far, is by being my truest self, growing, of course, continuing to learn and committing to wanting to grow as a person, but having those things that are non-negotiables for me. In the very beginning, I was told I needed to like tone back my accent. And I'm like, how do I do that? Like, how do you learn to re-talk, But I was like, you know what? This is me. I can try, but this is me. And then when I get to talking fast, especially in these 10-minute interviews that we have to do to the judges, you want to get everything you can get in those 10 minutes. And so then I start talking faster, and the faster I get, the thicker it gets. And I've just embraced it,
Yes, definitely.
Hey, this is me.
Well, because some of those people you were talking about, Macy Watkins and Hannah Barron and just tons of other girls on social media, TikTok and stuff. I mean, their accents are totally making them a ton of money.
Yes. Yes. Someone told me that at the Kentucky Derby. They turned around and side note, our favorite game when all of us girls get together, when we don't have our sash on, we love to have people figure out where we're from. And so sometimes we'll try to like put on, like for me, I'll try to do an Arizona accent.
Oh, wow.
In Arizona, we'll try to do a Tennessee accent just to put it on. And it's so fun just playing with people. But yeah, someone said, wow, you're from the South. Where are you from? And Kentucky and Tennessee accents, they're really different.
They really are, yeah.
And when I said Tennessee, they were like, you need to be on TikTok just talking.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I wish I was. I wish I had time to do that.
Well, before we talk about more important things, how did you pick your hat? Because surely you had a hat. You wore a hat.
You have to wear a hat. So
Absolutely.
Derby, right? What was your deciding factor of this is the one?
Well, actually, like I said, all this happened so last minute. So 2 weeks ago, not even a full 2 weeks ago, Miss Kentucky reached out to us and said, hey, I'm so sorry. This is very last minute. We had planned on doing this back in December, but then some things fell through. Her contacts weren't really getting back with her until the very last minute. And she was like, okay, if y'all can make this work, these are the plans. Come on. And so I start scrounging. I'm like, I've got to have a hat. And these hats are very expensive.
Now, you mean Miss Tennessee the pageant doesn't spring for you a special branded hat or something?
No, that would be really cool though. That would be
we should
super
get on
cool.
that.
Yeah. We'll get on that for the next girl.
I'm going to call Deborah Patterson and see if I can get something done.
She might have a string or two to pull. Yeah. Absolutely. So I start scrounging around, and I represented Huntington as Miss Dixie Pack my very first year in Miss Tennessee back in 2018. And they used to have this big event called Derby Day at the Dixie. And I attended it when I was Miss Dixie Pack. And I remember seeing all these hats, which of course I had on my local title holder crown at the time. But it was so cool. So I'm like, someone in Huntington has these big old hats. So I had to find the hat first. And then I found a dress that complemented it, and I just picked something out of my closet. So, yeah, it's not some fun story, but the other girls definitely went big, and they spent a lot of money on their hats. But like I was talking about this budget thing, you know what I'm saying? I have lots of memorabilia that I'm going to keep forever from my year, and the thought of spending about $600 on a hat to keep and wear one time, I could not allow myself to do it. But it was perfect. My hats, they were perfect. We had so much fun. and the fashion was unbelievable. I had whiplash after the first day because I was trying to like see everybody, and their outfits were insane. So it was so fun to watch, though.
Yeah. Who's the most interesting, famous person you've met as as Miss Tennessee, besides Patrick and I?
Well, y'all were going to be the ones that I said.
I know. I'm trying to get you to.
I would probably say Eric Decker. So I met him at Second Harvest Food Bank when I went to volunteer, and I got to take over their Instagram one day, and I was actually in a Kittenish jumpsuit, which his wife, Jessie James Decker, owns Kittenish in Nashville. Okay. And so he walks in with a Feeding America hat on, and I had a mini freak out moment inside because he is a beautiful man walking in this place. And I was like, that's Eric Decker. And of course, he was in my shift. And so he was really cool. He spotted my jumpsuit and he called off the full name of it, something utility jumpsuit. And I said, yeah, that's what I'm wearing. I said, I'm really proud of you. You know everything about your wife's clothing. Like, that's so cool. So we got to work side by side and really get to know each other. Yeah. And I'm not going to lie. He was kind of like, I felt that vibe of, you're one of me, you're like me, you know, and I'm like, yes, absolutely. I am on your level for sure. Yes. But it was cool just to talk to him, and, you know, people in the spotlight, they're just normal people.
Oh, yeah.
With big old hearts, and he has a heart for the hungry too, which was so cool, and we just got to know each other. So I really enjoyed meeting him.
Yeah, because your platform is about food security. An advocate and fundraising partner you've done with Second Harvest Food Bank.
Yes.
Raised over $18,000 in funding and distributed over 20,000 meals across West and Middle Tennessee. So talk to us about food insecurity. Why is that so deeply rooted in you?
So I'm an only child, and growing up, I was not allowed to be a couch potato on the weekends. So my mom and dad really instilled service into me at a really young age. And being in a small town, there's limited opportunities to serve other people. But one that was a shepherd's fund where we would stock a little food pantry, and it was small, but I was small, so it was big to me. Yeah. So that started at such a young age. And then just growing up, being involved in things in high school, I guess it was the later part of high school, my church started doing a big food drive in Parsons. And I realized there was such a disconnect between like the operations of the food bank and then the people that were receiving the food. We would put the food in the boxes, put the boxes in the cars, say, have a nice day. And that broke my heart because we were feeding their bellies, but we weren't feeding their heart. You know, we may invite them to church, but let's be honest, the odds of that happening are slim, especially if they don't know anyone, if they didn't connect with someone. So I talked to the pastor and I said, we got to do something because this isn't working.
You did this as a young person?
I did. I was probably a senior in high school, maybe. A senior, maybe a freshman in college, something like that. It's been so long ago. Wow. And we put together a hospitality team. So while the boxes were being packed inside, a team of us went car to car to car, just introducing ourselves, saying, hey, we'd love to have you. You can sit with me. Here's where I sit at church. Would love to see you. And we prayed with them. We got to know so much about these people, and they're just like us. They just need a little help, you know? And food banks and food pantries, those things provide a Band-Aid to a much bigger problem. You know, it's not sustainable for someone to live off of a food bank, but we weren't really helping them get back on their feet. And so by feeding into their heart and hopefully creating those relationships with them, it's going to be longer lasting than just feeding them for a week or two. Yeah. And through that, we just got to hear so many stories. And one that I love to share is a sweet little boy in the back seat, and he was being raised by his great-grandmother. And she was just chatty Kathy, and we so enjoyed talking to her, and he kept interrupting the whole time. And before we walked away, he had his window down, and all he wanted to tell me was that it was his birthday. And I mean, I think he was like 4, right? And he had no idea that he was at a food bank. Getting food, but he was so joyful and so excited that it was his birthday. And so let's see, if the great grandmother is there to pick up food to feed him and her and whoever else was in the household, odds are, you know, that she's going to have something for his birthday. It's it's probably not going to happen. And so it was a big dessert table inside. So I was able to like dispatch in and say, hey, this car, this one far back, and, gave the description. There is a Spider-Man birthday cake that I saw inside. Make sure it goes in that box.
Oh, wow.
And so we were able to just provide for a need. And a birthday, that is a big need.
Yeah.
For I'm having one Tuesday, and I can't wait to have my little cake, from Food Giant. It's my favorite type of cake. And so just to like be able to provide that joyful moment and to see him, as it was sat in the car and he got a Spider-Man birthday cake, it was just all worth it. And I think in that moment too, everyone kind of realized like, wow, now we're creating impact.
Yeah.
We thought we were before, but now we're feeding the hearts of hungry people and making a difference.
Yeah, it's huge. We've really been doing a lot of that here at Northside in the last year, a little bit, almost 2 years now, with some community kids and families that are around us. And it's all been about developing that relationship.
Yeah.
And it's hard for some people to understand why they don't all come to church. Why I don't see them in the service. Well, yeah, you don't. But, we're
But you're
really
planting
doing
the seeds.
Exactly.
Someone planted the seeds with us
Exactly.
a long time ago, and everybody's path is different.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that sweet little 4-year-old boy will ever remember that, but he may. He may turn out to be a 16-year-old boy that has a flashback of that moment when someone was kind enough to take the time to talk to him and realize it was his birthday, have a birthday cake, and that might inspire him to, 1, revisit that relationship with the Lord, or 2, go volunteer himself and make another little 4-year-old's day, So it's just about planting those seeds, and I really believe in that.
Oh, it's important. And he may be dressing up as Spider-Man for some kid's birthday party or something. Who knows?
You never know.
So where was your home church in Parsons? Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in a little country church. It was called Bear Creek Baptist Church all my life until probably mid-high school. And then we began going to First Baptist Church, and that's where we were for most of the time being. Yeah.
First Baptist Parsons is a big church.
Yeah.
We go through there quite a bit.
It is.
Did you ever do the world's largest coon hunt?
Oh, my goodness, I did. Now,
What?
remember, I told you that I wasn't a pageant girl, okay? But I did do the coon hunt pageant when I was in middle school.
Did you really?
I did, and I was called the junior hostess. I was that twice. But you didn't wear a dress. You didn't get all dolled up. You were in jeans. That was the dress code for the pageant. So I don't even know how they can call it a pageant. But there was an interview. That was my favorite part of it. And really, you were a hostess. And when you have a crown on, it's the power of the crown. I don't care how old you are. Everyone looks at it. Everyone is mesmerized by it. It gives you a sense of power. And usually it opens up a lot of people's pocketbooks. And so I walked around as junior hostess with a big old bucket. And people would just drop their money in there. Because, of course, we were raising money for St. Jude. So that was really cool. That was really cool. So that was the time I was a little pageant girl growing up in my jeans.
Always love it. Going on coon hunt weekend, and it's just crazy at the fairgrounds and stuff. It's always always a hoot. So you talked about church. You've talked about your platform and serving other people, especially through food. You've talked a lot about getting to do all these wonderful things and the power of the crown. How has your Christian faith and your journey over these last year, how has that been impacted for you personally? As Lauren, take the crown, the sashes away.
Yeah.
For Lauren, the child of God, the daughter of God. How has that impacted your life during this journey?
It's been a roller coaster. A total roller coaster. I was talking about how famous people are just people, and of course being Miss Tennessee gives me status, it gives me influence. And I've had to check myself a lot throughout the time as Miss Tennessee, but also the time of becoming Miss Tennessee. I was in this organization for 5 years before I became Miss Tennessee.
Okay.
So I had to check myself a lot and remind myself who I am in Christ. I am not Miss So-and-so. I am not all of just Miss Tennessee. There's so much more than just her in that title. And so it's been a lot of self-reflection, and I've been mad at God, goodness gracious, a lot. It's been a journey the last few years of my life, and something that I never dreamed that I would share as Miss Tennessee. But it's my story, no matter how much I've wished it away, prayed it away. But in 2020, my parents went through they started the beginning stages of a horrible divorce. And it still impacts me to this day. And I would be lying if I sat here and told you that I wasn't a little nervous for the fall. For the fall in the fall, I guess I should say, because it's going to be the first time that I don't have this Miss Tennessee thing to focus on or to steal my focus away. And I'm going to be faced with, this really is my life, you know? But I found a lot of healing, surprisingly, in sharing my story.
Yeah.
A story that I never dreamed I would have as Miss Tennessee. But sharing that with individuals, especially high school students, because I was once in their shoes.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going through that at the time, but I had a lot of friends that were. And so I've been in the shoes of, you're not going through it. You don't think that's you. It doesn't apply to you. Or you've been through it when you were younger, or you're going to go through it. You know, it's just one of those things in life that I wish wasn't a thing, but that's why this place is not our home. There's a lot of brokenness. And through that journey, especially the last 3 years, it's been rocky.
Yeah.
It's been real rocky. But I can sit here and say that I'm only here because of the Lord. Only here is Lauren because of the Lord, and of course Miss Tennessee and all the things that He's blessed me with there. I would not be here if it wasn't for the grace and the strength of the Lord within me. And through this year, like I said, I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about my gifts that the Lord's given me and really becoming confident in those. There's been so many times where I've been faced with situations that I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. No clue. Deborah knows this too. I mean, I would be with the microphone in hand and still, what in the world am I supposed to talk about? But I've developed that confidence and that trust in the Lord that the moment I know I open my mouth, He's going to speak through me.
Yeah.
Every single time. And it blows me away. And half the time I don't even remember what I talk about, you know, and I might be rambling on, but I've had so much feedback that I know it has to be impactful to them. And so I just know going in, like, Lord, you've provided this far. You're going to continue to provide, even if I fleshly have no idea how you're going to do it. So it's been rocky. It's been very rocky.
I'm laughing because often my wife will say, what are you speaking about? What are you preaching about? What are you talking about to youth? And I'll know when it's over. And so I know exactly what you're talking about. And then I will ask, what did I say? Because I don't know.
Right.
What came out.
I don't know.
And my story is very similar to yours. My parents divorced after 27 years. And so, you know, I graduated high school going, whoa, look at me. Y'all eat my pain. And then, you know, you turn around and bit you a little bit later. So I fully understand that. You know, that is something that rings true in my life. And so I get that. So thanks for sharing that, because so many people go through that at some level or point.
Right.
It's not your family. It's someone you know so closely. And it does. It rocks our world. How do churches respond to you as Miss Tennessee? Do you come into churches?
Yeah, I do. I love going into churches. It's my favorite thing to do because I feel right at home. You know, I'm a singer, and I found my voice in church as a little bitty girl. I don't remember life without singing in some way, and singing any kind of Christian song, anything about Jesus. That's what I love to do. So they love when I come in and I just share my story.
Sure.
You know, I believe that's why I was put in this position, is because I had a story to tell. And I fully believe that is why I was not chosen for this position any sooner than I was.
Yeah.
Because the story was still developing, as it is now.
Sure.
But I had to become comfortable within that story. And in 2021, when I thought this journey was over for me, I was not comfortable in that story. I was terrified of it. I hated that it was my story. I didn't know how to cope with it. I couldn't talk about it without absolutely breaking out in hives and having the lump in my throat, to the point that I didn't talk about it at all because it was debilitating. And in the beginning of this year, it was a little rocky, but I felt the need to be pushed into it and just lean into it and say, Lord, this is so broken. I don't know how you can make it beautiful, but I believe that you're going to, because that's what your word says. Makes me emotional just thinking about it, and just like reflecting on how far I've come and how far He's brought me into a place of healing. Yeah,
that's awesome, because you think about Abraham sometimes, and 100 years old, I'm not going to have any kids. You know, I wish I would have, but that'd been good. But all right, no, you are. And now let's take him up a hill and kill him. You know, let's just do that.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, you talk about the faith of a mustard seed, or you watch what Abraham or any of these people in the Bible that we walk through and we follow all of our years growing up in churches and stuff like that. And whenever you begin to see those little stories take place in your own life, and then you realize, man, I've got that kind of relationship with God too.
Yeah, like, wait, he wants me?
Exactly.
Wait, this is happening to me? It happened in the Bible, but who am I that this would happen for me too?
Yeah. And
that's been a really big realization too, I think, in the last few years of wait, I've always believed I had a personal relationship with the Lord. I've always focused on that, but to actually see him moving and molding and changing me throughout the years, I think that's where the wisdom comes in, is being able to reflect on that and seeing how far that he's brought you.
Yeah, that's the reason the Bible's such a relational book, because we live it daily. And if we'll look and we'll pay attention, we're getting to see it all unfold in our own lives. And that is for every single one of us.
For sure.
Oh, good stuff. I do have a question for you to kind of begin to wrap this up on. We'll have people in, so, people ask athletes all the time, what's your game day ritual and stuff. So you go to Miss America or Miss Tennessee, what is the game day ritual? We had a wedding here not long ago at the church, and it was a morning wedding, and that poor girl and all of her bridesmaids got here like at 5:00 in the morning. I know it takes a long time to get all this stuff done. So, what's your pregame ritual for pageant day?
Ooh, okay. So
do we have time?
We do. I don't have just a whole list of things that I do, but something that's important for me is to kind of have my quiet time. And when you're at Miss America, there's no quiet time.
Yeah.
Our dressing room was behind the stage. We're in this huge convention center, and they made this curtained dressing room. And so we're sitting down at mirrors. At my table, there was 4 other girls, and it's just the music and the loudness. And so I popped in my AirPods, and I just listened to Christian music. There is a cloud from Elevation Worship that is like my go-to every time. There's something so soothing about it, but also it absolutely rattles my insides, and it's about just having faith, and so that's always something that I do. And I mentioned I'm a singer, and sometimes I get bad cotton mouth. I don't ever really feel the nerves, in my stomach. I just get cotton mouth. So this is kind of gross, but I take a little bit of olive oil and, I just throw it back and just drink a little of it, slosh it around, and that usually helps, and it helps soothe my throat too, so everything comes out as best that it could. But I love some prayer time, and even in the chaos of things, it's like I just kind of center myself, and I just get focused. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this too, because you just bring it up, and do you ever feel the judgment of other women? Do you ever feel like you're just totally picked apart?
Absolutely. And by men too.
And how do you deal with it? I mean, what have you found to be the best? Is it a quiet time? Is it something?
Honestly, I feel like it's a daily struggle.
Yeah.
If I'm honest. I think maybe there's times where it doesn't affect me as much, but it's something that I think about often. Yeah. And in the beginning, I had a lot of imposter syndrome when I became Miss Tennessee, and that was hard to overcome. I kept comparing myself to past Miss Tennessees, and my favorite Miss Tennessee is Katie Davis in 2017, and she's forever the best standard for me of her year of service. And so I've measured my success to her, and even though our stories are different, we're totally different people, and serving under different circumstances and leadership, I've had to just take a second and continue to remind myself that I was here for a reason. I am me for a reason. How can I be the best? How can I be my best, not the best? Because it's always a competition with yourself, right? But yeah, I struggle with that. And I think we all do. I'm not sure if we'll ever reach the point that we don't. I'd love to say that we do. I really would love to say that, but I'm a realist, and I'm not sure if we ever do. I think we just get stronger as we go through it. But I definitely deal with the comparison thief. It's pretty rough. And just the judgment of people. I talked about the stereotypes that people have of people like me and within my industry, and people that's very, very close to me. I've lost a lot this year. I've gained a lot this year. Lost a lot of friendships and relationships. And I'm hoping to rekindle those after this year's over, because it's been so demanding. But the thing is, we all want to be seen, we all want to be heard, and we all want to be understood. I have a fear of being misunderstood. And so I over-explain myself, or I'll try to let someone see maybe the most vulnerable parts of me, hoping that they will see, I'm just like you, don't put me on a pedestal. That makes me so uncomfy. So I deal with it. I just deal with it day by day, different day, different coping mechanism.
Well, I knew nothing about pageants or anything, growing up in Texas. I knew they happened. You watched them on TV because they would rob one of our 3 channels every year or something like that, And then we moved to Jackson, and Barbie informs me after we get married, she had done some pageants when she was younger. And I was like, oh no, what have I done? And she grew up in Chester County. And so, but nothing, super big or anything, local stuff. And then Jackson is like the hub city of pageantry.
For sure. Miss Tennessee was held here for many, many years. And, I grew up coming to watch Miss Tennessee. And so I always admired the women, maybe stereotyping them, but I always admired them for their courage and their strength to be in a position to be picked apart and judged. So I think that when we're in these positions, we do get judged, and it can be very uncomfortable at times. But in a way, I believe I've been pushed to find out who I am and why I am the way that I am more than I ever have in my entire life. And coming out of this year, I feel more confident in my skin and in who I am and what the Lord can do through me.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming because, and Miss Deborah Patterson, she's here. She's hiding over in the corner. She wouldn't come and hang out with us, but I wanted to get Deborah on here a few times, but
sidekick.
We'll get.
But she's got some stories.
I know, and I've got some stories on her, and we can. But she's your booking agent, or she works for Miss Tennessee, and so that's the role she plays.
She's a lifesaver.
Yeah,
lifesaver.
I don't know how you do it. Running around.
I don't either. I look at my schedule, like from the fall especially, and I look at it and I said, how did I do that?
Yeah.
Really, how did I do that? And when Deborah says, slow down, Lauren, you've got to get ready for Miss America. You've got to be well for Miss America. No, keep booking me. I'm good. I'm Superwoman. I can do it all. And then in November, it absolutely caught up with me. And those little germs I was talking about.
Caught you.
It caught me. It caught me. So I slowed down, but she keeps me grounded.
Well, sometime while we're running around the river or messing around in Decatur County, I hope our paths will cross again somewhere. That would be fun. And so, Lauren, thanks for coming in. Miss Tennessee 2022 with us. And we're just blessed to have you. And thank you for your story and your honesty with us today. And it's been a lot of fun having you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, I think Miss Deborah was right. She's a pretty fantastic young woman.
Yeah. I just want to go to the Kentucky Derby now.
Yeah, I still. What would you do for a hat?
I don't know. Do the guys wear hats?
Guys do wear hats. Now, a lot of them have kind of like the bowler or the, what are some of the others? A Hamburg, is that right? So a lot of Hamburgs. I mean, there's some of the cowboy type hats, but that's not, they're not hardcore cowboy-ish type people, I don't think. But for the most part, they do some, but it's a big thing for the women. I mean, and they're coming all kinds of crazy styles. I love watching the horses race, and my grandmother, that was something she instilled on us, was she loved watching horses race. And as she was growing up, that was a big thing locally. People would just get on their horse, and my horse is faster than your horse. Well, let's just see. So let's race it to that tree and back, Well,
I was going to ask if she put any money down on the ponies, but when she started talking about how she's actually responsible with her money, and financial planning and stuff, I didn't figure she actually put any money down.
And it's fun to hear from, someone that age. We've had a few financial people in, they're closer to our age and are older. And it's fun to hear someone younger than us getting into that financial world.
Yeah. I need to look into a Roth IRA, I guess.
Yeah, they are helpful. I wanted to ask her about insurance for young people. What's better, whole or term? There's differing opinions. I don't know which one's necessarily right for the young person, but some life insurance is important. You need some. But great visit with her and interesting. And we got to chat with her a little bit after we got off the air, and she was telling us some of the good scoops, but you'll never get them out of us. Well, our funny thing is we think that pageants are like Miss Congeniality, the movie, right, with Sandra Bullock.
Of course, yeah.
And while that isn't necessarily...
That was a documentary, though, right?
Completely wrong. It is pretty much completely wrong. But it's like every other professional where they jump into a profession, right?
Yeah.
I guess it's not really a profession, but it sort of is, pageantry. There's people who make money off of that eventually. So, but it's I have a bad habit of relaying everything back to the movies in my life. I don't know what that is. I don't know why.
And I get it. It's my touchstone as well.
But do movies really play that large of a role in our lives where we have to like compare them back and forth? That's, for me, the answer is, well, it appears so.
Yeah.
So it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Before we get into what's coming up next, the Digital Disciple has begun.
It has.
How did that go your first night? How did the Digital Disciple go for the first
It was
week?
good. I felt obligated to start with a little bit of Star Wars. So
Yeah.
We talked about Star Wars.
I heard some good comments from a few of the folks that went.
Well, good.
So that was good. So,
It was my first time and everything. So, I mean, there's a little bit of nerves, but we had fun. And
now, there was one thing I did hear about.
Uh-oh.
You gave them homework.
I did give them homework.
What?
Yeah.
Isn't there like a rule? Isn't that in the bylaws? You don't give Sunday schools or small groups homework? How
I feel
in the
like it
world?
was-
How dare you?
I feel like it was good homework, though. So next week we're going to talk about Captain America. So I gave them homework to watch Captain
good.
America.
Good.
So that we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good.
So it's not hard homework. It's just sometime in the next week watch Captain America. So
Yeah. Well,
because I started with Star Wars.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about how some of the similarities we related the Force with, like the Holy Spirit, but having faith in an unseen force, and sometimes it's hard for us to believe in something we can't see.
Sure.
We want evidence, those kinds of things. So really using just Star Wars as an allegory for our faith walk, but.
yeah.
I felt pretty confident starting with Star Wars that everybody had seen Star Wars. There was somebody in there that had never watched Star Wars.
Wow.
So I gave them homework.
Well, Clay's, he'll be 3 in August, and he loves watching YouTube, and lots of the little things he likes is shorter clips are on YouTube and stuff, so you don't have to watch like
The whole thing.
the whole episodes. So it's flipping through, and on my YouTube, it's set to start a preview of the video. Mm-hmm. Well, I was flipping through, and one of the lightsaber fights from one of the Star Wars, I don't even remember which one it was, pops up as kind of the next video as we're scrolling. And his head pops, boom, eyes focused on that. What is it about lightsaber fights that just draw?
They're cool.
I guess girls like them, but guys especially.
Yeah, I don't know.
Back in the day, the old swashbuckling movies, black and white, even silent films, pirates, and they're having a sword fight. The sword fight is the cornerstone of movie making conflict.
Oh yeah.
That needs to be like published somewhere. That needs to be like a headline, the cornerstone of movie. But with lightsabers, I mean, every guy on the planet sees some lightsabers, and they have to look at it. It's like fireworks. You
give anybody like a cardboard tube or something, and they're going to pretend it's a lightsaber.
They're going to hit something.
Exactly. It's just something innate in us all.
There's something about that, hitting things with a stick.
Yeah.
It's just in the male brain and heart. I don't know what it is, but even at 3, I mean, not quite 3, it's all about the lightsabers.
Yeah.
So, well, good. I'm glad it started off good. That's cool. Well, what else we got coming our way?
We got a couple of things coming up this Sunday, May 21st. Grief Share is starting up again.
Good.
So if you want to get signed up for that, contact Diane Rose. It's a $20 fee. But that'll go for 13 weeks, and you can jump in anywhere in that 13 weeks. And even if you've gone through it once before, you can go through it again. But yeah, if you're interested in Grief Share classes, those are going to start this Sunday, May 21st.
Cool.
And, we're getting really close to the youth musical.
Yeah,
I thought we had a little more time, but it's like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, we don't.
We got a couple of weeks.
We are there for the most part.
Yeah, so put this on your calendars if you haven't already. The youth musical is going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Mm-hmm. So Friday and Saturday, June 2nd and 3rd, is going to be at 7 o'clock. And then Sunday, June 4th, is going to be at 3 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So save those dates.
And next week on E Plus TV6, they do that on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So next week on E Plus TV6, we're going to do the interview. Normally we do it the week of the musical. This year we're doing a week before. So you're going to get to see some of the songs coming from the musical. So a little preview of some of the stuff coming up during the musical. So
that's always
looking forward to that. So yeah.
Yeah. And also on that Sunday, June 4th, we're going to have a little bit different Sunday morning schedule. We're going to have a 9 o'clock service just like normal in the sanctuary, but then we're going to have one service in Hope Hall at 10 o'clock. So no Sunday school, 9 o'clock sanctuary, 10 o'clock Hope Hall.
Yep, and Anna Magera from Gamma Star will be preaching, and then we can get the kids back in time for their 3 o'clock last performance.
Yeah.
Of Firm Foundation. That'll be good.
That'd be really
a good Sunday.
And then coming up in July 10th through the 14th, we have VBS, Vacation Bible School. Food truck party is what it's called.
Yeah, and I think our next podcast, we're going to have Miranda Goldsby with it, and we'll get to meet her as our new children's person and talk about this. And I have tons of questions about what food trucks are coming.
Yeah, me too.
So we need to find this out. So pay attention because the food trucks coming might sway you into volunteering.
I mean, that's already got me thinking again. So
exactly. So you may be like, ooh, Saucy Jakes, I'm coming.
Hey.
Sebs.
Hey.
Snow cones, I'm down.
I'm down.
I'm all about some food trucks.
So we'll tune in next week for some more information on that. We'll talk to Miranda, get the scoop on that. And one final thing, we are recruiting greeters for our Sunday Morning Connect team. We need greeters mainly around the Hope Hall entrance time before Sunday school and before the service. So like 9:30 to 10 o'clock, something like that. But if you are interested in being a greeter and greeting people, welcoming people into the church on Sunday mornings, contact Debbie Holmes. You can contact her at debbie@northsidejackson.com or just call up at the church office and we can get you signed up for that.
Yeah, and that's youth and above. You youth can greet as well.
Yes.
So, good way to serve.
Yeah. Be a friendly face for people when they first get to the church. And
hi, welcome to Northside.
Wow, that's welcoming. Yeah.
Like, hey, what's up? Maybe not over the top either. So, just come be yourself.
Yeah. Well, thanks for podcasting with me. And thanks to all of you out there in the world for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on Instagram at Northside Now Podcast. Go to our website, northsidejackson.com, or email us at podcast@northsidejackson.com. We hope to hear from you soon. Once again, this is Patrick.
This is Glenn.
And that's what's happening at Northside Now.